We need 50% of the license holders, and the crew will come along to start with. They will come. Okay? 16E has been very effective. It has been very effective. We started January the 4th. You folks all know this. And it has helped increase the price of lobsters. It has. And anybody that don't think it has, well, you'll have your turn to tell me what. Or tell you folks why too. January the 4th we was born, and we're still alive. Some of the fishermen and some of the lobster dealers had bets on us. They're not going to last 3 weeks. They're not going to last 3 months. Well, we're still here. We are still here. Okay? Couple things really pissed off the board. Number one, we all agreed in January the 4th, this is where we first held our meeting, right here. No more selling lobsters after the 10th day of January for under $5.50. Is that so? Of course it's so. So, along the way we got into April. Price went down from $5.50 to $5. And that really ticked us off. The other thing really ticked us off was the fact that lobster fishermen going to dealers and saying we can go for less. Gee, I always thought it was the other way around. I wanted to make more money. Yeah, I wanted to catch more lobsters. So that has got to stop. It has to stop. Let the board do its job. That's what we're here for. And we are capable of doing this. Now, this industry has to be run by 1688, and I'll tell you why. In the last 21 years, it's been run by the government. It's a mess. But we let them do that, didn't we? We're guilty of that. We're our own worst enemies. Entrapment laws. How many's on the books? Anybody know here?
Yeah.
And every time you turn around, the government is chafing at the bit to put more policy out there to drive you fellows out of business. All you hear is quotas, less parks. God knows what they're going to dream up next. One thing they are doing now, they're trying to implement a camera to go aboard your boat. Not the camera you got for fishing. This camera will identify even the sandwiches you eat and the coffee, how you make your coffee. That's what they're going to try to do. We have to stop them. And you know why that is going on? I'll tell you why. Because to start with, everything they threw at us through FLA 34, they delivered from the government what the government wanted, and we swallowed it. 21 years of abuse. That's what we've had. So, if you fellows want, you can do anything with this industry. If you are united, you can do anything. You can go back. The last year we had a good price, a fair price, was 2002. You can bring that back. You're not going to bring it back overnight. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to please everybody neither. But you can bring it back. That's what you folks want to do. The thing I can understand is why thank God we have 970 members, crew and skippers. Okay? Why some people won't join this association. And believe me, I've heard it all. I've heard it all. Don't like me. Listen. There's a vote January the 4th. You fellas don't like me, you don't think I'm the right guy, you don't think this board's the right board, throw us out. I will tell you this, I'll always be on your side. I wear a fisherman's hat. The board does too. We have a wonderful board. We get along, we get things done. There's a lot of things that should be done to help this industry. To take it out of the government's hands and put it in your fellows' hands. It's a mess. Every time you fellows turn around, there's a rumor of another new board. The Lobster Council of Canada. Who's the chairman now? Sparrows. I don't know if he still is, but he was. They report to the government their information. Then the government reports to the lobster dealers. They're not representing you. Stephen's going to talk on this. We have, excuse me, I'm a little ahead of it. We have Ray Muse for Farm Marine Insurance here. He's here to tell you about the fleet insurance. And only members can join this fleet insurance. Stephen Gorn's going to talk. Michael Gorn's going to talk. But it's like this. You can't undo this mess in 8 months or 9 months. It might take you 2 years. It could take you 4 years. But little by little, if you want, we can take it back. We will take it back. If you fellows want us to take it back, we will. I'm anti-government. Every time I went to a meeting, I've been going to meetings since I was 18 years old. That's when I had my first vote. And every time I come out of that meeting, it was all about the government. Up here, come sit down. Up here. No war talk and book talk down there. Every time it was about government. Government. They have no business sense, the government don't. And all they know, I got a new name for them now. It's called CMP. You folks don't know what that stands for, do you? It stands for Computers and Promotions. They know nothing about this ocean. If anybody knows anything about this ocean, it's you people. But this is our industry, and you've let the government bulldoze you, and you can't do that no more. Can't be done. One thing has changed on the fisheries policy, 2 things. Owner-operator and fleet separation is there. You had a lot of allies to keep it in the fisheries policy. We had 33 different colleges across Canada that was our allies in special interest group, plus 1688. They're still there. The 72-hour deal, that's gone. Remember the 72-hour deal? There's one guy charged, paid for him. You don't haul you get in 72 hours, you're in violation. That is gone. Okay? It's like this. We're not kids no more. And this industry has to be run as a business. But you fellows right now don't have the upper hand. The government and the dealers do. Not all dealers, but a big percentage of them. Okay? I do my homework. The board does its homework. You're very lucky. Forget about me. We've got board members here that's worked pretty hard. We've had threats. I've seen telephone calls. We've had a lot of things been thrown at us. Why? Can't tell you why. Only thing we're doing is try to save our communities. I do my homework. I talk to 3 lobster dealers in Southwest Nova that will tell me the truth. I talked to about 4 accountants before the lobster season starts. And I still have people in New Brunswick I talk to. And I will do that again this year. Okay? You fellas got to remember, this is the only thing we have left. The only thing you have for your children, for your grandfathers, for your mothers and fathers. This is the only thing we have left. And if you're not willing to fight and join 1688, it's going to vanish. Vincent's gonna talk about quotas. And I got something to say after quotas, and I'll tell you how just how it's gonna come down. Remember, I went to a meeting in Yarmouth, ITQ meeting, 1991. I told the fishermen what was gonna happen, and it did happen. And I can tell you what's gonna happen if it goes to ITQ. Now, all this bull crap, you can hear anything you wanna hear. 300 parts, you've got 2 licenses, you can run 600 parts. Well, I can tell you right now, we are not involved in that, and never will be. We're not here to destroy people's lives. We're here to save our communities and the people in it. We've asked a good many times, anybody's got a better idea? Give us the information. By the way, Erica sent out to 50 ports in South Nova to give us feedback for this election. How many people applied? Give us back feedback? One. One community. Clam Point and Stony Island. Where's Trevor? One. One. We can't do all that. We can't do this all by ourselves. We need you fellas to help. You have to. So remember what I'm telling you. If you want this to become a good industry and keep this industry forever in the hands of the fishermen, you can do it. But you can't do it alone. You can't do nothing alone. You can't have a good conversation. You can't even go to bed and make love to your wife if she's not in that bed. You can't do that. So I've had my little say. I think that 1688 is the best thing that's ever happened so far. And remember, we've only been in business 8 or 9 months. And we have done some things. Your membership is retroactive. You have to pay your membership every year. Okay? If you want us to keep going, we need money. 31 meetings so far. Okay? And there's one thing that I hear quite often. Well, I'm on the fence to see what 1680 is going to do. We've already done it. We've done it. We have accomplished quite a little bit in 8 months. And we'll continue to fight the fight. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Mills. He represents bond insurance, marine insurance. It's a fleet policy. Only members qualify.
Thank you, sir. I'm not going to take up a whole lot of your time. You guys have some really important things to discuss. And I just want to thank you for letting me join you. I'll start off by saying this is Susan Dion, who works out of our Barrington office. She's our local representative. Some of you may end up dealing with her if you're interested in what we have to offer. We believe in what you guys are doing. We work and have been working in this community and Yarmouth and Church Point since 1966. We can live and do what we do because you guys go to sea and catch the lobsters for us. The fleet program that we're offering, Erica made contact with me in April, and as a benefit to the membership, and this fleet program for your boat insurance is only available to you if you're a paid member of the 1688. It's buying power. It's the same way as if you see 7 or 8 drugstores in southwestern Nova Scotia that have Farmer Choice on them. You guys are a potential buying group. And with buying group, you have power. What we're doing with your marine insurance now, we're underwriting your boats on a small fleet basis. Our underwriter, Sunland Marine Insurance, some of you guys have probably heard that name. It's been around for 35 years in Canada. Underwrites 2 large fleets in Nova Scotia, 1 in New Brunswick. In order to get to the large fleet rates, we need 100 boats. We've got 67 applications now, and we have bound coverage. In other words, we've placed your coverage on 10. A lot of you guys don't have your boat insurance due until October, November, December, January. What will happen is when we get the large fleet, the 100 boats, you're going to see further discounts in your insurance, and you're going to see some coverages added in that you may or may not have, probably don't have with your current insurer. We're doing the best we can. We've got a list of the names. A lot of you guys we can't get a hold of because we don't have the cell phone numbers, and some of you might be with Eastlink. We don't have your email address. We don't have home phone numbers. Susan and I are going to wait till after the meeting. If any of you are interested in talking to us, give us a couple minutes. If you'd like to apply, it literally takes a minute and a half. We've got to get this put together. The more that join, the better off it is, just like the credit union. When one profits, you all profit. We're trying to save you guys some money and protect your industry the best way we know how. We've got a lot of experience in what we do. I've been at this for 18 years, and our commercial staff in Yarmouth, our junior staff member is 12 years old. We know what we're doing. Thank you very much, guys, for getting together and helping to protect our community, and we'll wait for you afterwards. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Stephen? Form.
So early?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the stories that I've been hearing, those that are sitting on the fence, I want to address that first of all. And wondering, is James moved this, James moved that? They don't say it so much about me, because it's usually me that they're saying it to, so I'm sure they must say it too. As I thought about this today, everything that they said about us is true. I'll take you back, now bear with me a little bit, it'll all come together in the end, I promise. Years ago, when we first started, him and I and several others was, we smuggled a lot of fish, we done a lot.
No.
A lot of bad things. And I gotta say, we stand good at it. We was. We'd take him out under the fishery officer's nose and all that stuff, and it was kind of a game. But then they got mad at us and started playing the game not fair. They give them guns, night scopes, and all of that stuff. That was the start of the takeover of your fishery. That was the start. Now it's the same game, and I'm talking now about the buyers. It's the same game. Him and I both have been in it. Him a lot longer than me, and he's a lot smarter than I am. But it's the same game. We're still playing. The players are different, a little bit. The ones that have come online now are greedier than the players was in our day. So again, I say it's the same game. Same game. We want to go back and play it again. What's the difference this time? The difference is we want to play it for good. We want to do what's right. If you fellas don't have 1688 negotiating your price this fall, under our conditions, take what comes. Like I say, the game's the same. We know it from the inside out. That man put the first lobsters in Europe right there. We were a little bit better off than what's going on today. The fishermen did get a price that they could live with. Maybe it wasn't what they wanted, but you all made money, didn't you? When we were in business, at least, didn't it? It's the same old bullshit, people. The same old bullshit. Oops, I ain't supposed to say that. but it is. And like James said, if we're not negotiating, this board, your price this year, we ain't interested in FLA 34, they go do their thing. But you need us to be negotiating this price. They can't. And we need to know what you consider a fair price, and as you'll be voting today. I guess that's all I got to say about that. Now I'm gonna tackle Jeff Irvin. and the
You are?
lobster-
Let's hear it. I wanna hear it.
The lobster board. Jeff Irvin said that they're not government backed. I can tell you where to go online. Jeff Irvin got 1,900,000 and something thousand, October the 31st of 11. That same day, he got 35,000 from the government. This is tax money that don't have to be paid back, by the way.
Free money.
And I'll tell each one of you where you can go online and see. Like James says, we do our homework, we back it with facts. And the only way that this stuff is ever gonna be squashed, it's gotta come out to light. It's gotta be dealt with. On May the 31st, Jeff Irvin got $2 million grant, no payback. So in 2011, he's 55,000 short of $4 million.
Oh, you're full of his money.
Did that help? Has he helped?
No. Who's Jeff Irvin?
Jeff Irvin runs the Lobster Council of Canada. This is my joke book.
He's trying to get more money out of you, that's what he's trying to do.
Exactly. This is my joke book. I've had a really good plan to put at least 100 people to work and create jobs here and going for government money. 3 years of my life is in this book, dealing with idiots. Oops, I didn't mean to say that. But all along the line, I have met good people. Through each organization, I have met good people that believe in creating jobs and believe in doing that. And then people feed me back information. We're ready to go start playing the game again. But this time, hopefully with some power behind us. There's plenty of money, and I'll talk on that a little more later. Everybody says that we can't win a government fight. Well, in about January the 10th, it come to our attention about the people being charged $200. You've all just starting getting your bills again, aren't you, this year?
We're having compensation.
Yeah, workman's compensation. Well, we had documents, back documents, and we have a safety committee that we formed in 1688. They had been at it, actually they'd been at it about 2 years before we got connected together. And through the paperwork and all that stuff, and of course when you get them pissed off, they tell you things that people, when they're mad, sometimes will tell you, or give you a lot of information, you know. So anyway, we had, I'm going to go ahead on the limb. We got them. We got them. This is the press release that will be going out. The board of directors of 1688 Professional Lobstermen's Association has asked the Safety Committee to pursue the objective of ensuring that the Fisheries Safety Association of Nova Scotia ceases to mislead lobster and other fishermen in Nova Scotia into believing that their membership in that association is mandatory. We are tired of trade associations and government agencies prying on and bullying the hard-working fishermen. Said 1688 board member Stephen Gorham. We asked our safety committee to address this, and they have done a great job. These bullying tactics have got to stop. For several years, this association has been constantly misleading fish harvesters in Nova Scotia that membership in their association was mandatory. More than 130 members have sent the association letters of registration within the last year, but continue to be dinged with $50 to $200. 1688 Safety Committee members Sandy Forbes and Ivan McDonald both vigorously contested the rights of forced membership into that society. The letters are here, by the way. I don't know what to and in February 21st, 2012, letters from the Executive Director Stuart Frank to Sandy Forbes. Frank stated that membership in that association is mandatory and that Workmen's Compensation Board is authorized to collect dues from the firms will continue to be invoiced as members. Now, with the safety board coming online, they can go into your account and take this money out. You got no choice.
Yeah, but we never joined anything.
Huh?
We never joined. They signed us up, we never joined.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
never joined, I joined this here, I never joined nothing else. It's only mandatory to join one association, that's the one I'm belonging to.
But again, they're gonna bill you, and they're gonna take your money out. Don't pay it. Make them take it out. Don't pay it.
They won't take it if I ain't paid 3 years. They're still charging me interest, but I ain't paid.
Yes, you're gonna. Time will tell. This is an outrageous abuse of power by government-supported industry association of large processors, which puts an unfair, even illegal burden on the backs of the fishermen again, says Safety Committee member Ivan McDonald, who has owned and operated fishery sector business for more than 30 years. Mr. Franks completely ignored our registration requests, and we finally had to appeal to the Joint Register of Stocks to get him to admit that he was misleading all of us for many months about the mandatory membership, said Sandy Ford. When Franks refused to accept the registration, McDonald obtained a copy of the bylaws and saw that Section 6 clearly states that a membership shall cease if a member resigns with written notice to the society. Then McDonald advised Franks of this. The executive director then proceeded with plans to change the bylaws to force mandatory membership. This kind of arrogance and self-interest and we're getting some big press now, and we've got to have big press. The only way you can beat this stuff is bring it out to public. Behavior is appalling, says McDonald. I think the Joint Register of Stocks seems to agree. Okay, in March 16, 2012, Franks advised Forbes and McDonald that he had been advised by the officials at Service Nova Scotia and Municipal Relations that the attempt to impose mandatory membership would not be accepted by the Joint Register of Stocks. Mr. Franks was also advised of the proposed changes were withdrawn from the agenda. of the general meeting. The forced membership issue is just the tip of the iceberg, according to McDonald, who has been researching the issue for several years. The time has come to look at the whole Workmen's Compensation Board and the membership in the association that is not mandatory and never will be. Of course, we are all concerned about safety. This ain't got nothing to do with safety. This has got to do with the complete waste of about $1 million of your tax that you paid. That's what this has got to do with. Where are we? Of course, we are all concerned with safety of our boats and our plants, Ed, Stephen Warren. That is not what is the issue here. The board and the members of the association and the large processors who they represent need to be put on notice that they will no longer be able to run roughshod over the fishermen and small business people in Nova Scotia. They need to know that a new day has come. You guys are taking back your business. The processing plant. We've been playing that stupid joke book, yeah, with government trying to get 50% of a business feasibility study. I think we're going to get it, but it's government at a government pace. We need, if we're going to get any government money, we need a feasibility study and we need a business. You're going to get no government money, no other way. It has to be that way. So, in the matter of saving time, if and when the government says that they're going to give us 50 or 75%, we need to come up with the rest to get this started. We ain't never going to know what's going on unless we become a player in the game. We can't sit around and be a fan. You need to have your own processing, and we'll go out and find our own thing. You know, do we need buyers? Yes, and another thing's got to be addressed, boys. Buyers can't handle that many lobsters that quick.
With Lobster Capital Canada, we should be processing them in.
Right on. Right
That's
on.
that's hot and dry.
So I guess what we're saying in a nutshell, an incoming message from the big giant head up above, you need us to negotiate. We don't, that's the only thing we're interested in. Negotiating a price for you guys that is fair, that you can pay your men, and you make a living. That's all we're asking for. January the 4th, if we haven't accomplished it, get rid of us. That's it.
Thank you, Stephen. I just want to follow up. The Lobster Council of Canada was formed 3 years ago. And Jeff Irvin did come to Cape Island. I attended that meeting and went to Woods Harbor. And he's a damn liar. He is a liar. He says he represents the fishermen. No, he don't. His appointment is politically appointed. He gets paid by the government.
$4 million, almost.
Who does he bring his information back to? The government. Who does the government give the information to? The lobster dealers. Listen, if you're a lobster dealer and you're shipping internationally, you know where lobsters can be sold. That's your job. You're going to find that out. Okay? So he is now one of the hatchet people, he's a hatchet cutter, to put you fellows out of business. He lied. He said every area was on side with him on 1/2 cent a pound from the fishermen and 1/2 cent a pound from the dealers. That's a damn lie. and he don't represent you, he represents the government. Now, one thing I've heard the last 4 or 5 years, we'll go harder. Yeah? Is that right? You'll go harder, you'll go fishing harder, right? Well, I don't understand how you can go any harder. You're going as hard as you can go now. So I got a little buzzword now. Here's what I think you should do. I think you shouldn't go harder. I think you should get smarter.
Cut your trap limit.
Pardon me?
Cut your trap limit down.
That ain't gonna happen. No,
Cut it
I'm
along
gonna
with-
get to that. I'm gonna get to that. I don't believe in cutting the trap limit. I don't. But before I say that, Area 34 Advisory has new blood. We're gonna write them a letter and ask them what their agenda is. They've also getting government money. So if the government is dumping their money into FLA 34 and the Lobster Council of Canada, guess who they're gonna report back to? They're not gonna defend you, they're not gonna represent you. They're gonna represent the government. And the government's trying, working overtime, holding meetings to make you fellows less successful. The same thing they done in the ground fishery in 86 and 87 and 88. They held meetings. There was 3 fishery officers, I know them by name, that were in the enforcement of the fishery department. They quit. They had families that went fishing and they said, we're done. We don't want a job no more. We got families going fishing. We quit. Had meetings to make you fellows less successful. Geez, I like people that are successful. I like people with jobs, people making money. I love them. That's what we're here for. So I got a buzzword. Let's not go harder. I know you're going to go harder because you're born that way. You're born to go fishing. That means you're aggressive. But what about let's get a little smarter. And how you get smarter? Let the board do our job. And I'm going to be some disappointed if some of these fishermen go to the lobster dealer and say, never mind what the board says, 1688, they're going to go away anyway. They don't know what they're doing no more than a man in the moon. We don't need them. That's fishermen talking to a dealer. We don't need this price. We'll go for less. I never heard tell us it's foolishness in all my life. And by the way, they call me erratic. How is it erratic if these fishermen go to dealers and tell them we'll go for less? That's very funny. I can laugh over that one. Okay. 34's got new blood. What are they going to do? We want to know. We are going to get them to write us a letter back. We want their agenda. If they're not going to represent you fellows, I'm going to spend some time and I'm going to crap all over it. I will. By the way, there's 2 gentlemen here from Lunenburg, and what they've told me, on October the 17th, they have a FLA 33 advisory meeting. I'm allowed to come and speak. I hope I am. Jeff Urban will be there, and I'll be there. We can't let this stuff happen no more. Look what you've done, and I'm guilty too. Look what you've done. You lost the ground fishery, the backbone of South Nova, on account of greed, vicious greed. Listen to the government foolishness. Unemployment, hush money. Yeah, some people have to have unemployment. But you know what? More so, people have to have jobs. Jobs is disappearing. They're disappearing. Look at all the jobs you created in the ground fishery. You had the baiters, you had people shoveling ice, you had people gutting fish, you had people baiting gear, you had people peddling groceries, you had the boat shops with full bowl and so on and so forth. Look what happened to it. This land was the land of milk and honey when we had the ground fishery. And you know what? I'm going to put something else in your mind too, and this is the truth.
We're gonna take it back.
Huh?
We're gonna take it back.
Hang on. Never once have we had a groundfish management plan that was built in conservation measures. Not one time. Still isn't today. You know what the fisheries does now? They cut the quota. If they're so smart, managing this ocean and represent the people, well, we should have all kinds of fish, right? people that had a couple of 100,000 pound quota, they've down to 40, we have about 6 or 7 or 8 boats that has enough fish to go for now. It's sad. And if you fellas don't watch out, and you're not accountable, same thing's gonna happen to the lobster industry. Same exactly. After fencing gets done, I'm gonna follow up. And I'll tell you the truth about the quotas. And what it'll do to you, and what it'll do to your communities, and your children. Vincent, it's your turn. Not a crazy fella.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
I was expecting you to do this, at least I'd come prepared. This is the Gardner Pinvote Report, Lobster Council of Canada. We paid $700,000 for it, and I doubt if anybody else has read it. Jeff Irvin tells you what he wants you to hear out of this report. Stuff in this, in here, he wants you to know. We're not gonna get a sustainability program that's where the lobsters go in Europe on the shelf saying these are good lobsters from people who care about the industry until we have a rationalization. Rationalization is getting rid of most of us. This also goes on to say demand equals supply, providing basis for price increases. Quality is best in Canada than the United States. These are just points that I've gone through. But the problem is the industry has fragmentation and destructive competition. That means you guys go out and catch all the lobsters you can catch. They don't want you to do that. And the resource is healthy, they don't know why. But they want you to reduce your effort. And some of their programs they're thinking about are changing the seasons, the days you can fish, the number of licenses, the traps and trap hauls. They want fleet rationalization by tradable quotas, shorter seasons, track limits, and dockside monitoring. That report also says when there aren't many lobsters in the winter and you get a good price, the average profit by the buyer is 60 cents. It also goes on to say when there's a glut and the prices are low, somehow the dealers manage to make $2.50 a pound. It's in that report. Processing revenues have recovered in the last 2 years. Commercial interest by buyers to keep prices low. There's a strong demand. Buyers do not own fishing vessels. Atlantic Canada is playing into the hands of large customers by undercutting the prices. The dealers go out and say, I'll sell you the lobster for less. That's the way they operate.
The
They
game.
go to a dealer in the States and they'll say, I'll sell you lobsters cheaper, 10 cents cheaper than that guy. Then the next guy comes along and does the same thing. They don't fight for the price. They also say DFO effectively plans, manages, and monitors fish, aquaculture, and they keep the population and ecosystems protected. And I guess that's a joke, but they think that's the true thing that DFO does. Competitive fishing, you get gluts. Separation of harvesting and shipping brings on limits on effective marketing. Multiple participants, that means fishermen, more fishermen there, you get more fragmentation. They don't want us, they don't want competitive fishing. They want us to commit to a structural change. That means get rid of most of us. They say when the prices go down, we should increase supply. So that means when the price goes down, we should stay home, not catch them. And I mean really not just double or triple cycle a year. They mean don't put it for a week or two. Inshore boats.
they're saying there's overcapacity because catches go down after the first 2 or 3 weeks. There's enough capacity the first 2 or 3 weeks because everybody's catching a lot, but when the catches go down, they say there's too many boats chasing that lobsters a lot. They really want vertical integration. And people that don't know, vertical integration is where a company owns the quota, the boats, right to the top, the whole way right to the market, store. They want ITQs. They want us to control the supply. Eliminate competitive fishing. Catches are up almost everywhere. They want to control that. But I'll tell you what they're doing. They're dividing and conquering. And usually when you divide and conquer, you try to pick off the little guys. That report is pointed directly at District 34. And what's happening now, I've been to PEI for the last week, New Brunswick and PEI, talking to the fishermen at the borders. Their catches are up from last year, best catches they've ever had. Caught as many as last year with a month to go. And Darryl McIver, he's a member of the Maritime Fishermen's Union. He's in this newspaper from Amherst, printed last week. What he says, we were overpaid the last 3 weeks of the season for our lobster. It's had a chain effect on the rest of the LFAs in the Maritimes, and that's why they're getting a lower price, because we went on straight for a higher price. But we really didn't limit our supply. I mean, geez, we didn't go lobstering for a week. I guess we limited our supply somewhere along the line. And he goes on to say that all the LFAs up around the Northumberland shore have got their eyes on District 33 to 36 this fall to see if we play by the rules that the Lobster Council of Canada's got out. Set out.
Really?
They want us to limit our supply. And they've been fishing full bore all the time. They're catching more, landing more than they ever have, but they're looking at this end to control the supply. The government's dividing, and they're putting all the little guys against us. And the Lobster Council of Canada, all those LFAs got as many votes as we do. We got 1 vote. If they can get all the little guys to vote against us, go on. We got all of these things. All of these things. And to top it all off, you know, people that go sticking swordfish or hand lining, when you get close to your quota, they come on the radio and say, okay, everybody stop fishing. Get in now. And I looked up the records in for the swordfish stickers last year. They had a quota of 139 tons. Somehow the government managed to stop them exactly at that number. To give you what the government is doing as far as big business and stuff is, take for instance Clearwater. In 2010 they were allowed to exceed their lobster quota by 39 tons. That's somewhere around 90,000 pounds. Last year they were allowed to exceed their quota by 75 tons. That's around 165,000 pounds. But what you got to remember is, they fish a year round, and when they overfish those tons, it's when our lobster season's starting up. So they allowed Clearwater to catch an extra 165,000 pounds, just as our season was starting, so Clearwater could dump them on the market. They're stacking everything. The Lobster Council of Canada, they're not for us. Jeff Irvin, I'll say this, and they can sue me if they want. Jeff Irvin's a liar. I asked him,
already said that.
I know. I asked him if this report made quotas, and he told me to my face, no. Read it. See what you think. It's quotas, and it's get rid of you. And you know what happens when there's quotas? Most of you are gone. Simple as that. It's time to get in touch with the rest of the LFAs. You can't. They're divided and conquered. We got to get together, work together with everyone. But I'll tell you right now, they're lining up all the rest of them against us. They talk about our quality. Yep, we land some bad stuff the first couple of weeks in the fall, and that's what they want to change the season. the inshore lobster fishermen, they wanna really change the season to make it 2 or 3 weeks later, so the offshore lobsters can harden up. What's that gonna do for the guys that fish in the bay and in the rocks? You got 2 weeks before the new year starts. What's that gonna do?
You're gonna be gone.
Gone, right, that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, we're
I tell you, if you sit back and don't do nothing, and really, I got no kids, I got no nephews or anything like that are gonna get into this fishing. I'm concerned, I drive around and I see all the houses for sale. Speaks for itself. Thanks.
Thank you. So you've heard it. We got to stop it. How do we stop it? We can stop it. We need the members to step up to the plate and join 1688. Everything that Vincent talked about, we'll either do a survey, one-on-one, to put this government in its place. They do not own this ocean. They do not own this industry. You people do. Now I got something to add. It's all pointed at putting you fellas out of business, quotas or whatever. They're trying to find a way to put you out of business. You've heard all the garbage, all the vicious propaganda, the threat. You've heard it all. Anybody can log on to that and get that information. Okay? If you go to ITQs, and some people have mentioned that to me, here's what's going to happen. People that think they got $8 to $10 million that they can dump into this industry and buy through licenses, they're fooling themselves. Because you know what they are? Little crumbs on the table. If you ain't got 80, 90, $100 million to dump in this industry, you're not going to be counted. And a lot of these companies here that think that they can buy in and buy quota and have it for the rest of life, they're fooling themselves. There's plenty of money in this world. All kinds of it. We got a woman out of Miami on swordfish quota. We got a car dealership in Scarborough, Ontario. He owns swordfish quota. So why can't the Japanese or Chinese come in and buy this industry? This is crucial. This is in some kind of mess. And what the Harper government is doing, looking after his buddies. And his buddies is not you guys. So if it goes to quotas, what will happen? There'll be countries or companies, big companies come in here and buy you fellas out. Some of you's going to say, no, I'm going to weather the storm, I'm going to hang in there. You won't be able to. Because once they get enough licenses, they will supply the market, and they will tell you fellas what you're going to get for your losses, and it won't be $3.25. Remember, I went before 900 skippers in the ground fishery, not one person listened to me. Told them what was going to happen. That is what's going to happen. And they're not going to be sailing 50-footers. They're going to be sailing a boat of their choice. They're stacked in licenses. If you fellas don't keep owner-operator and fleet separation on the boats, and don't keep 1688 alive and well, that's what eventually will happen. In 3 short years, if it does go to quotas, these communities are done. Disintegrated, gone. You want that to happen? We are going through this fall and winter, 1688. We're toying between a survey, or I think that, in my opinion, it works better. You go one-on-one and do a survey, you have a list of things. Are you for quotas? What about entrapment laws? Should they be wiped out? What about Lobster Council of Canada? Should that be wiped out? We had Ashton Spinney representing us in the Lobster Council of Canada. I think there's 32 members sits on the board. Ashton Spinney. And 2 natives representing us. And by the way, did we help out others on the price? Of course we did, and we should. Everybody's worried about this area, that area. No, no. We're gonna worry about and wonder about, be concerned about 33 and 34. I've been to Digby. Never got a member out of 35, not one. We can't do that no more. How you get members is one-on-one. You talk to your friends. You tell them what's happening at these meetings. And remember, we represent you fellas. And without you fellas, 1688 cannot survive. That's the truth. Now, we're gonna talk about this ballot that we put down here, the important things that we got on the ballot. The lobster dealers have one gripe, and it is legitimate. You fellas are landing too many lobsters in the first 5 weeks of the season. Here's what happens. You guys bring in lobster, and by the way, this year, I'm a little ahead of my story, this year there'll be no coming in and throwing your lobsters at your lobster dealers and saying, pay me what you can. Don't want to have that either. Can't do that no more. They have one legitimate gripe. Here it is. They landed too many lobsters in the first 5 weeks of the season. What happens? You bring the lobsters in, they throw them in the back of a truck, they go to New Brunswick. New Brunswick, they separate the hard from the soft. The soft shell lobster goes to be processed. The hard shell goes on the live market to compete against these lobster dealers here. Somehow, you've got to slow this down. Only for the first 5 weeks either. And this is voluntarily. It has nothing to do with the government. When the government steps into 1688, I'm gone.
Amen.
I've been around that bull crap all my life. You're the people that made this industry what it is. It's your industry. Take it back. So, you have to slow this production down, only for probably 4 or 5 weeks. Remember, if we put something in place for this winter, and we're gonna have to, and we will fight for a fair price for your lobsters. We can change it if it don't work. If you let the government in, it's mandatory, it stays there forever. Can't do them things. This is why you're in this mess today. And like I say, we have to be relentless, but we have to have more members. We have to. $250. Now, let's see, when I was there hunting Holy, I had to have a new rifle. What was that, 1100? Something like that. A couple boxes of shells. Oh, don't forget my rum. They have my rum. I never had a four-wheeler, but now you gotta have a four-wheeler. You gotta trade that in. You gotta have gas for it. Don't forget your apples. You gotta have carrots. And your camo gear. You can't afford $250 to join 1688, there's something radically wrong. There is something wrong. They say, well, I joined an association. So what? You did. We proved that we've helped. We proved that we've accomplished some things. Now, the ballot. I'm going to read the ballot here. And listen. Take your time, plenty of time, to vote on this ballot. And there's a front and a back. And this is only good to the 4th day of January. And then we're going to negotiate as a board to see where the lobster production is, how much lobsters is in the dealer's hand and the fisherman's hand. And we will turn around and look at this way, and if we need more money for the lobsters, which we always do, we will fight for, we'll do the same thing as we done last month. Okay. January the 4th, 2013. Okay. It says here, voluntary part on fishermen. DFO has nothing to do what is on this vote. You got one block, you got to put in the price. It says price for hard shell lobsters, price for soft shell lobsters. You have to put the price in yourself. And the next one is a set price for both hard and shell lobsters, one set price across the board, whether it's soft or hard, okay? No pops on the wharf until a confirmed price from buyers. I love this one. By the way, I've leased an excavator. No laughing, I had it. Eat, you put your lobsters on the wharf, I want them from overboard, I'll smash them up. You hear me?
Good man.
Okay. Next one. 2 days off a week, up until January the 4th, 2013, or a split season.
2 days a week, what do you mean?
Take 2 days off a week, designate Friday and Saturday off 2 days a week until January the 4th. We can change these things if it don't work, okay?
We'll take 3 days off and grade our own lobsters, instead of sending them to New Brunswick.
You grade your lobsters now if you want to put them away. Okay. The last one on this ballot is only haul your gear in 24 hours, once in 24 hours. Now, majority rules. If it's a close vote, the board will intervene and we will decide which way to go. We're not here to hurt you. You fellas gotta remember, you cannot go for 325 no more. Can't do that. Tell me this, I got a question for you. Suppose you didn't have 1688. What's the stop the deal with paying you $2 down?
Nothing.
What defense do you have? Tell me. I wanna know.
No, we get no crew. That's what you would have to bring off.
They wouldn't be lost, we would be no crew still.
Yes, they'd go. They'd find somebody to go with them.
They would.
They would.
No, they wouldn't.
They got paid.
Huh? All right.
They would say they
Whoa,
ain't gonna
whoa. You went to 320? Well,
If I ain't gonna pay the money.
hold
Crazy
it,
anyway.
hold it. You went to 325 last year, what the crew members get out of it? Nothing. Come on now.
Radiant West.
That's a good
All
argument.
this shit took place. Radiant West, that's where all the crew members are gonna go. We don't stand and fight for this.
Why the
Guarantee.
people staying on to pick up?
Year before, hang on, year before, they paid $450 across the board, right?
Yeah.
What did they do this last year? 325. Nothing to stop them from paying $2.
Go yes, sir.
There's only one thing that can stop them. You fellas can. I'm related to, in my family, there's 17 seafood companies. You think I give a shit about them fellas? They don't care about me and you.
James out.
I care, you be quiet. Be quiet. I care about my community. I got one black mark against me on this ocean. I went fishing when they had the strike in '91. I apologize for that. So take your time in an orderly fashion, go over and vote. These people here will assist you. Anybody that's not a member that wants to join today, come to me. You have to recruit more members. And I know you fellows are trying. You heard what Vincent said and Stephen said.
Common sense has got to prevail. It's got to.
You've got a voice, the first time in your life, to represent you fellows. And if you fail 1688, you failed yourself. Now, any questions, and I'm sure I can answer them, truthfully. Yes, sir.
Are we gonna be here when Jeff Irvine comes to Barrington?
Are we what?
Are we gonna be here? He's got a schedule. It starts September the 19th in Annapolis, and he goes right around, I guess, like Halifax. I didn't look at the whole thing. And he's gonna be in Barrington. Do you know the date and where it's gonna be, and are we gonna be there?
You make sure and call me.
Louis Hoskins has got, they fax it through to him. He's got
Then
the
you,
whole list.
Larry, you gotta go get the information from Louis and give me a call.
He's gonna be in
Because
Barrington, probably right here.
He's coming, hold it, he's coming down the FLA 33 advisory, and this gentleman here, I'm allowed to speak, and I'll be there.
Well, he's gonna
You
be-
know what I'm
he's
gonna
gonna
tell
be
him, don't
Barrington.
you?
He's gonna be in
You know what I'm
Barrington.
gonna tell
He's
him?
gonna be
I
in
want my goddamn money back. He's spent it.
He's gonna be here, so we gotta be here.
Hey, you just broke your own rule, swearing.
All right, I'm swearing. Any questions? Got it? Tell them who you are, tell them where you're from.
My name is Garnet Heisler. I represent two fishermen down in Area 33, and I listened to this gentleman talk down there one day. We had a little meeting in Lunenburg. What I like about this group here is I see, and I've been to a lot of lobster meetings in Area 34, Yarmouth, all up through, down Eastern Shore, 32. What I like about this area up here, I know is a large fishery. We've got a lot of young fishermen. But we're losing them, and they are going to west. And the reason why they want them out west, because we know how to work.
Yeah.
And they want you out there. But by God, you gotta leave your own families, your own province where you were born and brought up, and taught how to fish and taught how to work. Like I said, that's why they want us out there. I don't know whether this is the right way to go. I don't know, I'm dragging my feet here a little bit.
Got a question. If you know another way that we can go, be effective,
I got the floor.
I'm ready.
So, you know, I don't know if this is the right way to go or not. I'm dragging my feet, but you young people, I think it is the right way to go. I think it is. And we got a meeting coming up in October 17th, and, you know, come down. I come to yours, you're more than welcome. Come down, because, like he says, we're louder in groups than we are singly. So, all the best, guys.
Anybody else?
I just
Comments,
want to
concerns?
say, I want to say that the government is telling the other districts that did stuff. But if we show the strength to those districts, they will be on board. That's what we need, to show the strength, and they will come, they will join when they see what's going on. But the government's misleading them against us. We've talked to them on the wharfs, from New Brunswick to PPI. That's what they're doing to those fishermen. They're making us the bad guys.
Yes, Ken.
James, is the purpose of this
Hang on,
survey,
hang on.
is the purpose of this survey that we're filling out, are you going to vote or whatever? Is the purpose of this to go to the dealers and say, listen, if we do this, are you gonna give us this? Is that what you're
You're gonna vote, and if something is very close, we'll just say, you gotta go by a majority. If it isn't a clean majority, say, something like 60%, then the board's gonna handle it. We'll just say, okay, you got 45% wants two prices, soft and hard, and the other 55% wants hard. Then we're gonna figure this out, which way we're gonna go on that. This is what this is for. After we have a vote, look at the findings, then we take it to the dealers.
You say, well, what?
And I wanna have a lot of fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
just one minute.
What's the deal?
I thought it was 50 plus one.
Huh?
I thought it was 50
Well,
plus one.
well, we can, we'll do it 51, 49, 51. I hope it's not that way.
I don't either.
I hope it's not that
I
way.
thought that's what you
If it's that way, it makes my life miserable. Anybody else? Comments, concerns? Now's the time to talk, right now.
James, you said about a feasibility study by the government. Did you mention that?
No, I did.
Stephen did. Seems to me is Barrington, municipality of Barrington paid good money to have put signs out on each end of the municipality of Barrington that we are the lobster capital of Canada. So I think feasibility's there. Why do we need to ship our lobsters to New Brunswick to be processed, graded, or anything else? Why
We don't have anything here to do it with yet.
Well,
No, but how much more feasible, we land the most lobsters of anybody around. I mean, why ship them 300 miles and grade them?
Buzzy was one of the pioneers that tried to get government involved with the processing plant. That fight is still going on.
Maybe it should have been here to start with.
And down in Lunenburg, one guy said, why can't we have 5? Hey, if we could only get 5, it would be wonderful, but we gotta start somewhere. And this is the thing that, it would overcome a lot of problems for us. basically, there's nothing wrong. Well, plenty of market out there. Look what you fellas caught the last fiscal year, 55 million pounds. Where'd they go? They never released them back in the ocean. They sold them. They sold them. Plenty market.
I think half the problems that show is showing the States, lobsters, and some, the Yankees all see it.
What's that?
It's a show on television, it's on satellite, and it shows them selling lobsters for $3 a pound, $2.75. In the States, and it's a big show.
I'm not concerned about the Yankees, because look what you've done in January.
Oh, yeah,
Look what you done.
I blame that.
Look what you done. Let the Yankees, guess what? Wouldn't the Canadians and every one of them wouldn't be alive, they'd all been dead in the Second World War. Come on, come on, come on. My uncle was there the first time they come up the front line. You know what they did? They run down over the hill and hit it on the Canadian truck. She told me that to be the crew.
James out, James out.
Okay? Man. Anybody's got a better idea, got a comment of any kind, now is the time.
About 2 months ago, James, a month and a half ago, TBC News had a cab driver on Halifax. They're regulated. And he said 20 years ago, he was making more than he's making now. And they're regulated. He said he used to pay $50 for a mechanic, now it costs him $80 and $90. Fuel prices, for his gas, car prices. Don't that sound familiar to everybody?
Yeah.
Aren't we that close to being that regulated?
Are we? Yes, we are. We have a bill in the mail every day from the government.
The bait cost me more, the fuel cost me more. I'm making less now than I did 20 years ago. And we're not regulated.
No, yes, we are. We are regulated.
Yeah, but we don't know it.
Now,
You said about the camera thing. Great, you're gonna have a high-tech camera budget, but guess who's gonna pay for it?
you are. And they're talking about loving the $15,000.
Right. Every day I go to the mail, I get an envelope, I gotta open up. It's some information or something that the government says, this is implemented, this is what you gotta do. And this is what's gonna cost you.
Yeah, well, same as the black boxes in the ground factory cost $26.
Listen, when you call steamboat inspection now, if you're over a tonnage, you gotta go through steamboat. If you don't, guess what? You're gonna be punished. That's $500. They come down, right?
James.
How much?
I just had the bill come $1,750. It's just easier. Times the paperwork's done, it's $1,750.
Okay, I got the answer to that one too. Turn it over to private enterprise. Let them put, listen, let the companies come who can do the job and qualify, turn it over to private enterprise. The government couldn't even run a shed house, and you know that. That's the answer to a lot of, listen, you've got to remember, we're not kids. We're smart people. You fellows are very smart at what you do, catching lobsters and fish, but when it comes down to business, guess what? You want to go harder. No, you got to get smarter. Comments, concerns?
James,
Are we going to vote?
what do you think about that American lobster coming over here in September and October to the pounds here in Area 34? I mean, they own, not American, it's American owned, some of the pounds up there, I'm hearing.
We got them here. We got them here on our own turf.
Well, why are we letting them in? We can't go across the border over there with some, they used to stop our trucks going across the border.
Very touchy subject, that one.
It is.
You know, but they're buying them over there for $1.60 and $1.80 a pound. Bringing them here, babysitting them, and then shipping them back for Canadian lobsters. We gotta watch out for these Caesars coming across here.
Hold it.
It was already down in Maine.
Hang on, 65% of our product still goes in the US. So if we stop them, they'll stop us.
Well, they need our lobster. Get a season down, get a life. They gotta have a season, they got a 12-month season and no trap limit.
Yeah.
Hold it now.
They can't spell the word.
But you gotta remember, we've only been, listen, you know what we spent, this is 31 meetings we've had. We spent most of our time trying to get people, trying to explain to them and get them, on side with us to join 1680. We're not doing that anymore. It don't work. And we do it if it would work, but it don't work. on the fence, they say. Where in the hell is this imaginary fence? I wanna find out where it is.
4220 line, James.
It's lovely.
Good luck, you.
4220 line. That's where the fence is.
Any more business? Yes, Benson?
One thing I forgot to mention, next Friday I've got a meeting with, Robert Chisholm. He's the member of Parliament from Dartmouth, he's the, NDP critic for the fishery in Ottawa. Going down to see him next Friday, and I'm gonna state my concerns, and I'd like some of you people to email him at robert.chisholm@parl.ca. State your concerns, and I want him to know that I'm not alone. And I think he already realizes that, but the more information he has, the greater the Ottawa with him about it.
We bought this camera to put on YouTube because the Canadian people can help us. They need to know what we're up against, the problems we face. And it's free exposure. I love this machine. I do. But you know what? We've got the attention of the government and the dealers. They're pissing in their pants now. The dealers are.
James
They
out.
don't care, they're seeing people, I told you. Computers and promotions. They know nothing about business, they know nothing about the social. If you put them aboard the boat, first of all, they wouldn't go aboard your boat. They say, what's the weather? Well, I guess you get 15, 20 knots. No, I'm not going. That's the first thing they do. Well, how long are we gonna stay? I don't know, we're gonna stay 50, 60 hours, whatever. No, I'm not going. You don't think you're gonna get on board a boat yet? They don't know how this works, and they don't want it. All they know how to do is abuse you and put you out of business. That's the truth. Okay, thing else.
We were talking there the other day, that Alan guy that would come in these meetings there, from Ontario, coming around getting us.
Yeah, Alan Barnett, yeah.
Yeah, he was over Randy, who was there all the time. And Randy told him, hey Randy, I think more money in that $10,000 boat Martin than I get in that $1 million boat lobster. That's how bad it's been.
James, adjourn the meeting. Huh?
16.
Adjourn the meeting.
If you ain't part of the members?
Yeah, adjourn the meeting. Voting time.